in terms of just a touchstone that I think needs reinforced all the time, which is that idea of taking heart, taking heart, taking heart. From a Christian New Church perspective, we're always gifted with two things, our intellect and our will. In other words, our head and our heart, our thoughts and what we love. And, it's kind of interesting in that from a Christian New Church perspective, life really gets complicated when we're all too much in our head and we forget about our heart. That our heart's always to be first and end. This might be first in time. We may think the thought first, but this is always to be the main point, to be a loving person. And there's all kinds of warnings about it. And it's interesting because a lot of the time people worry about churches going downhill or institutions going downhill or communities going downhill, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of the time that concern centers around the head part, not necessarily the heart part. and that might be true. I mean, there are clearly things that we need to hold by, truths that will help us to navigate, and to muddy those waters isn't going to help anyone. But love has to always come first. That always has to be the part where we keep on resting back into love. We want to teach those things that are true. We want to stand for those things that are true because we think it will help society be more loving, if that makes sense. But it's always that because make blah, blah, blah more loving, or create a more loving community or a more loving relationship. That's what truth is always about. And truth that is just there as truth in and of itself really isn't going to serve us terribly well. So let me read to you a piece here, a little warning, and this is from a piece of Christian New Church Theology. It's talking about truth, and this is talking about within a church environment, when it becomes merely an intellectual exercise. That's the quote. So it was an exercise of love that can be called a love of truth, because at the start of this church, hardly any charity was left. So it's the time when any kind of church starts, it starts because the heart comes first, and it declines because there's no more heart left in it. And that I think is so significant, folks. And, when we go through times like this, it can sometimes feel like sort of a existential crisis of sorts. A lot of people have, this is the end of life as we know it from either side of either perspectives we're looking at within the political arena. It's not a terribly healthy place to live, because we still have to keep coming back to the heart. We still have to be coming back to being loving. That doesn't mean we don't stand very strongly for what we believe. I think we can do that. But always remember that the commandment is to always come from love, because when things end, it's interesting. I mean, it's very much one of those like hidden gems, I think, of Christian New Church theology. Just looking at churches, for example, here, but I think there's all kinds of other examples. Churches, the big threat to a church isn't atheism per se. The biggest threat to a church is not being loving. And that's really interesting. When we're in that loving place, we're doing God's will. Will we have bigger institutions, smaller, this, that, I think? Doesn't really matter, because keep your eyes on the prize. The eyes on the prize is to create organizations that really reflect God's love as best we can. And friends, like, none of this is going to be perfect. None of it. This next, whatever, month, 3 weeks, whatever it's going to be, not going to be perfect at all. I think we can all predict that. But can we keep on coming back to that centering part? And that centering part is our heart. Very, very important there. Very important there. So, friends, that's the thought for today. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little breath. We're going to do a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we'll say hi to folks on Facebook. So please join me by getting yourself comfortable. And take a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little cheery hello as we head into this beautiful weekend. And again, I'm hoping you all have some fun weekend plans ahead of you. I know last weekend we actually hosted some friends from Asheville, so it was good to hear that community, as communities are wont to do, continue to just soldier on. Very powerful. Linda, good morning to you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Marcus, good morning to you as always, and thank you for your dedication, as always, to everything we do here. Let's hop on, see if there's a few more over here. All right, come on, Nelly. There we go. All right. Oh, wrong one there. Sorry, my apologies, friends. Went to the wrong one. There we go. Now we're onto the right one. And again, it's beautiful. We will be next week. Susan and I are actually traveling. So we're going to be sending, we'll be doing some, not archived versions, but we've been doing some ahead of time, some 10 minutes of morning calm. So you can look forward to those coming up. So friends, just wishing you all the best. God bless me.